Hey everybody, this is Craig Durr with the Futurum Group, research director that focuses on workplace collaboration. We are here live at Zoomtopia 2023, and I'm excited to bring to you a very special guest. This is Jeff Smith, head of product for meetings, spaces, and rooms, right?
That's right.
It's a lot going on there, Jeff.
There is, and what's front and center, AI, hybrid work,
I know.
all the challenges that everybody's facing right now. We're living every day.
Okay, now Jeff's a good friend of mine and we have so much to talk about. We're actually going to break this up into two parts, this interview. And in the beginning, this first one, Jeff, you and I said we wanted to talk about the challenge that we're both hearing customers talk about, which is hybrid work, how to make it work in the office, right? I mean, tell me what some of the things you're hearing from customers.
So, hearing a lot about the uncertainty, just the challenges of how much real estate do I need, where should it be? I hired a bunch during the last few years that was completely distributed,
right? And
now I want to get the benefits of bringing people back together. But how do I do that in a way that still leverages the flexibility that people are looking for and they've grown accustomed to, but also brings me the benefits of culture and that cohesion that we get from actually coming together as in person,
right?
So. At Zoom, we've struggled with this as well. So we went with a structured hybrid approach where we have people that were within radius of an office that do come in 2 days a week. But we're Zoom. We're all over the place.
you guys,
so we have to live. We live. The remote worker lifestyle as well.
Right.
So all of it. Yeah.
I've talked to some people, and it was really interesting. They were talking about their entire teams were hired during the pandemic. That these teams never even knew what in-person was, this form of collaboration. So there's an interesting challenge, and what I talk to people a lot about is there's no single playbook for each company. It's going to vary from company to company as well too. You hit an interesting thing. Culture plays a big part into this. Tell me, how do you talk to people about workplace culture? What does that mean to you?
So, for us, I looked at how did Zoom's culture evolve from, the 2019 Zoom culture. It was very, we were a small company back then.
Right.
And, that was a very, people were very, very close in terms of personal relationships. And the mass of hiring that we did over the next few years, again, completely distributed, indiscriminate of location and completely looking at just talent wherever we could get it.
Right.
And that was a cultural shift where people weren't as comfortable with a cold call, for example, because they hadn't seen somebody face to face. They didn't understand that was okay for me to just call somebody.
Right.
And so there was a lot more hesitancy in the interpersonal relationships. And so getting back to that, understanding how do we get from a much more structured, I talk to somebody when I've scheduled a meeting with them, to we're now comfortable with ad hoc, is a shift back to something that is a much more fluid culture.
One of the things I notice that you do at Zoom that I really like, and I talked to some other HR experts about this, is culture is not beliefs. Culture is behavior. Like you can put the beliefs and the values on the wall, but it's really the actions that take place. It's the group action. And it's everything from examples that Eric and yourself set as executives at the company to what the employees feel they're comfortable doing right now. That's one of the key things I think I've really enjoyed about the Zoom and the team, your team members that I met, right?
Yeah, and all those beliefs are what we, really aspire to do. But the actual culture and the aspirational culture can have a gap. Right. And that's where we try to close that gap by our practices and improving. And what I would say is the companies that are engaging in the uncertainty, that are working toward solutions, taking action instead of staying on the sidelines and waiting to see how it pans out.
Right.
Those are the companies that are learning and improving and building a culture that is fit for hybrid.
Yes.
Instead of waiting for hybrid to happen so that then they can take action.
You have to be dynamic in how you're addressing this. It isn't a static set event. I absolutely agree with that.
And it's scary. I mean, it's scary because you don't know all the answers when you're going into it.
No.
But that's how we get better.
But they're open to honesty about that. It's interesting because one of your areas, spaces, plays into a core technology, I think, in helping this take place. I call it workplace experience platforms myself, but what I see it taking place within, for example, the Zoom Spaces, which is everything from desk reservation to visitor check-in to even wayfinding now as part of this as well too. It's helping to try and remove friction, I think. Is that one of the key elements in trying to make people comfortable coming in?
So absolutely. There's two things that you need in order to get people off of their, out of their home office, into the car, and into the physical office together. One is they have to see a real tangible benefit in terms of the experience that they get when they're there. And two, you have to really reduce the amount of friction that it takes to accomplish it. There's a lot of coordination overhead that takes place when you have a group of people that has ultimate flexibility in their schedule, but needs to get this experience of being together to have it valuable for any of them.
Right.
And so if we can reduce the friction, make it easier, suggest times, use AI, and then it's just about driving.
Depends on your city, that could be an issue.
Then it's going to be all right.
That could be.
Right.
That's great. And also I love that some of the other tools, I know we're going to talk about products in a moment, but I love what you guys introduced with Docs. Because to me, that is just the great example of what you see in terms of a hybrid work style, working within a hybrid environment, working within a hybrid team, in fact, too, right?
Yeah.
The dynamic nature of how people collaborate.
It's a big shift, and it's a shift that's been ongoing for probably a decade.
Yeah.
And you saw, all of us are accustomed to a document that is a printed, set of paper,
right.
And it's physical and it lives in a particular place and it's static. And the evolution is to a much more collaborative workspace without the constraints of 8.5 by 11 paper.
Yeah.
That's more about how do I get to a decision and how do I progress a project than it is about creating a document that looks a particular way.
Yeah, yeah.
And we were so focused on the presentation of content and the structure of content. Got headers and footers, and I've got Roman numerals in the right place. Has nothing to do with getting to the right answer.
Right.
So the next generation of documents is more about a collaborative workspace where we bring in information from the source,
right.
And it's a living source. It's living when it's on our workspace, and it's living when it hits its destination. But this is the place where we do the work on it.
Boom. I mean,
it's really fun.
It really is right there. We're talking about a hybrid environment, hybrid physical space, hybrid collaboration as well, even hybrid output in terms of what we're doing in documents. This is great. Hey, Jeff, thank you so much for these insights. Hey, everyone, I invite you to stay for part 2 when I talk to Jeff. We're going to spend some time talking about products, about rooms, and what we have taking place around the office, right?
All right, appreciate it, Craig.
Thank you. Everyone, this is Craig with the Futurum Group. Thank you for your time.